And by the way, if you didn't know, my name's Jack McGovern, or John McGovern.
John.
And this case was in the 60s and as a turbulent time. The background is there's been this long conflict between evolutionists and creationists. One side supported Darwin's theory of evolution, the other supported the story of Genesis. And evolution was included in most public schools' curriculum until the 1960s. Evolution was beginning to be accepted as like the origin of human species by the 60s. But there was a there was a good portion of the population that favored creationism, who were predominantly Christian Southerns. And the federal government had no formal law or ruling on this exact issue. In 1928, Arkansas passed a law that prohibited the teaching of evolution. This law made it unlawful for a teacher in a public school to teach evolution. The law was identical to Tennessee's 1925 monkey law. One of our appellant was Susan Epperson. Super Epperson was a school teacher who taught biology, and she was supposed to teach out of a new pet textbook that had a chapter on evolution. The dilemma was that Susan had to teach the chapter on evolution by the standards of the school district, but she didn't want to break the state law. One way she risked dismissal from the school, and the other way she risked prosecution from the state. Anyway, she filed a suit in the Chancery Court of Pulaski County to test the constitutionality of the Arkansas law. She sought for the state law to be nullified and an injunction against her being dismissed. The Chancery Court ruled that the Arkansas state law violated the First and 14th Amendment, which protects citizens from the state of interference with freedom of speech. The court also stated that the law restricted the freedom to learn and restrained the freedom to teach. Then the Arkansas Supreme Court overviewed this case and reversed the lower court ruling in favor of their act about the Anti-Evolution Act. They said that is a valid exercise of the state's power to specify the curriculum in public schools. Then Epperson appealed to the Arkansas Supreme Court, and Justice E. Warren presented the argument, the appellant being Epperson and the defendant being Don Langston. The Warren Court was really famous in the 1960s and early 50s, and they had a lot of the cases that you are presenting in this class. And the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against Arkansas's reversal in the law in a vote of 7-2 amongst the justices. The majority included Warren, Fortes, Douglas, Brennan, White, and Marshall. They ruled that the Arkansas state law was unconstitutional. The court specifically stated that the overriding fact is that Arkansas's law selects a particular segment that is deemed conflict with a particular religious document, which is basically inhibiting a religion. The court also said that it had no legitimate interest in protecting religions from views distasteful to them. The concurring opinions were from both Black, Stewart, and Harlan, and mainly they said that the Arkansas state law was too vague, but they didn't need a whole Supreme Court ruling on it. Anyway, the precedent that this case set was Epperson that set for future cases because it nullified the teaching of certain religious topics, such as the story of Genesis, in all public schools. Related cases would be the Scopes v. State trial, which was involved William Jennings Bryan in Scopes and the teaching of evolution in public schools and how it violated the Butler Act. Then Angel v. Vitale, which is a Supreme Court mandated mandatory prayer in public schools is unconstitutional. Also followed up with same with basically Abington School District v. Schnebb. And Edwards v. Algierd is a Supreme Court case that happened after, which basically ruled that the teaching of creationism along with evolutionism is unconstitutional. Now, why should we care? If we were in a public school, we would learn about evolution, not creationism. Instead, we have a study mixture of the two. This case also applies to our government, further separating church and state and further applying the Establishment Clause and of the First Amendment and Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment to cases. Many state laws had creationism only being taught in school, quickly changed to creationism and evolution being taught. This was later changed. Many of these states who had these laws were basically all in the South, and the ruling resulted in many more trials that come back. religious teaching in public schools. And that's it.